Hello, I'm continuing my series of videos on games that I own but have only played once. And next up is Sons of Anarchy, Men of Mayhem. I bought this game, I think it was sometime in 2017 because that's, when I show the one logged play of it. I purchased it because, I liked this TV series. And I think this game was on sale for pretty cheap. When I got it, so I picked it up. I remember playing it once solo, which this game is definitely not made to play solo. I'll talk a little bit more of that at the end of this video, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how to set up and play and show you a few example turns. Alright, first thing in setup is set up the 5 starting tiles. You can tell them because they are all double-sided. Got the St. Thomas Hospital, the emergency room, cut and bag op, the gun factory, and the charming police department. Then you'll shuffle up these non-random tiles, the ones that have a back, and you'll deal out 6 face down. And the remaining tiles will just not be used this game, so you'll set them aside or back in the box. Alright, next you'll take the Anarchy deck. If this is your first game or you don't want to play the hardcore version, you'll remove these red striped cards from the deck and then shuffle up this deck and just put it somewhere in the play area, somewhere near the tiles. Alright, after you've shuffled your Anarchy deck and put it somewhere near the board, you actually deal out 15 cards. 15, and then the others will not be used in the game. And these cards will kind of be your timer, tell you when the game is going to end. Alright, then the players will roll a die. The highest roll gets to pick which club or gang they want to play first. They'll choose that gang's card, and everybody decides whether you're going to play on the unleaded side or the high octane side. The difference is the starting assets and powers on the high octane side is different for each gang, and on the unleaded side they're all the same. And it suggests for your first game to play the unleaded side, so that's what I'm going to set up here. So I'm going to play a 3-player game. I'm going to have Sam Crow, the 1-9ers, and the Mayans. It says the last player to pick their clubhouse takes the patch, the Reaper patch, and that's kind of the first player marker, and of course that can switch during the game. I'm going to go ahead and make Sam Crow the start player, so they'll take the Reaper patch. Each player should also take a matching screen for their clubhouse, and you'll put your assets behind that to keep hidden from other players. Now, since I'm playing solo, I'm really not going to use these. I'll use one just as an example, but yeah, there's no point. Since I'm playing solo, there's no point in trying to keep assets hidden from myself. Then each player will get the starting assets that shows on your board. And like I said, in the unleaded version, when you're using the unleaded side, it's the same for all players. So all players will get 5 cash, 2 guns, 2 contraband, 1 heat marker, 3 members of their gang, and 2 prospects of their gang. So let me get that and get it set up. Alright, so you always keep your cash, guns, and contraband hidden, behind your screen so other players don't know how much you have at any time. So I've got set up my 5 cash, 2 guns, and 2 contraband, as says on the starting assets. You also take 1 heat token that goes on this heat track on the bottom, and you get 3 members and 2 prospects. The gang members are on these motorcycles, so you get 3 of those to start, and the prospects are standing. You get 2 of those to start. All the others just go into a pool that you can recruit from later. So I've got that set up for each player. They're 5 cash, 2 guns, 2 contraband. And then, of course, each player also gets a matching color dice. It shows on your, depending on what club, it shows what color of figures and dice you'll get. Public information is always your members. You keep them on your clubhouse, or they'll be out on the different tiles. And the amount of heat you have is always public information. And you'll get order tokens once you start play, and those are public and stay out in front of your clubhouse board. But again, cash, guns, and contraband you keep behind your screen so the other players don't know how much you have. And one more time, just because I'm playing solo for these other players, I'm just going to keep that out. And you'll put your reserves of cash, your order tokens, your heat tokens, contraband, and guns just in piles somewhere within easy reach of all players. But that's it. We're all set up and ready to play. Alright, so how do you play it? Let's grab one of these screens that we're not using because they have a good round summary. So the first thing you do in a round is claim order tokens. Now, each clubhouse board shows you the base number of orders you get, which when you're playing on the unleaded side, everybody gets 3 base orders. So you'll take these tokens, these are your order tokens, and then you get 1 order for every member of your club. And remember, the members are the ones on the motorcycles, not the prospects. So at the beginning of the game, when you're playing unleaded, every club has 3 members and 3 base, so everybody will get 6 orders. And those are supposed to be placed above your clubhouse board so everybody can always see how many order tokens you have left. So I've done that for each player. Alright, the next thing in the round summary is reveal new cards. Now, as the first thing you do in that phase is, as long as there's some site tiles that haven't been revealed, the first thing you do is reveal new turf. So you'll turn over 2 of these site tiles. Then you'll reveal new Anarchy cards. Now, in the first round, you just reveal 1 Anarchy card. In the second round, you reveal 2 Anarchy cards. And in the 3rd through 6th rounds, you'll reveal 3 Anarchy cards. And at the end of the 6th round, that's when the game's over. So, we reveal a new Anarchy card. This one is a last call, so it happens at the end of the round. So at the end of the round, each gang gain 1 heat, which is these tokens, and we'll talk about those in a minute. And then for each location, and these are the locations, except for the emergency room, that doesn't count as a location. For each location with 3 or more of their dudes. Now the dudes are your members and your prospects. They're all called dudes. But if something specifically says member, then that means the one on the motorcycles. If something specifically says prospects, then that counts the guys that are just standing up. But otherwise, if it just says dudes, that counts for all of your people. So for each location with 3 or more of their dudes, clubhouses, gain 1 heat for each location with 3 or more of their dudes. Clubhouses are locations. So at the end of the round, for every location, including your clubhouse, that you've got 3 or more of your men on it, you'll gain 1 heat. Besides last call anarchy cards, there's also obstacles, hassles, and opportunities. Now the opportunity cards become like other locations that players can go to. The hassles will have maybe like a new rule that lasts the entire round, and the obstacles are like a one-time, effect. So we'll see some of those when we go through the sample turns. So the next thing you do in the round is issue orders. So the players will take turns, starting with the player with the patch. So remember, whoever holds the Reaper patch goes first in a round, or is first in any order that says patch order, and then it's clockwise from the player that has that patch. So when you start the issue orders phase of the round, starting with the player that has the patch, he issues an order using these order tokens. And the orders you can issue are here. They're also on your screen summary, so we'll just go through those one at a time. So if you issue a ride order, that lets you move your dudes from one location to another. So the way you do that, you'll just have a order discard pile. So you just throw out an order and you say, well, I'm going to move these 2 dudes to this location. So when you're issuing a ride order, you can move any number of guys or dudes from one location to another location. But you can't move from multiple locations to a location, or multiple locations to multiple other locations. It's any number of dudes from any one location to another location. And your clubhouse does count as a location, so you can move dudes from a tile location back to your clubhouse. Now you can never move your dudes to somebody else's clubhouse with a ride order. And any of these are locations. This is a location. The only tile that is not a location is the emergency room. And again, there may be some cards, opportunity cards, that are also locations. So after this player has issued an order, then the next player in turn order would get to issue an order, followed by the next player, and then back to first player. And players will continue taking orders until everybody's out of order tokens. Now if another player runs out of order tokens before the other ones, because they end up having more orders, then they just are skipped when you're going in turn order. But let's finish talking about the other different kind of orders. So you have exploit. So you'll notice that these locations that are visible, they all have some kind of action that you can take on the bottom of them. For instance, this one is you can spend $1 to buy 1 contraband, and you can do that up to twice. So you could spend $2 to buy 2 contraband, but that's the most you could do in one turn. So when you issue an order to exploit, you take one of your order tokens and you put it on the corner of the tile that you're going to exploit, and then you can do that power. So if a player said, I'm going to exploit, and they put one of their power token or their control order tokens on there, then they could do this. Now some of them have this boost. So see, like this location doesn't have a boost, but this one does. If you want to also do the boost effect, or only do the boost effect, you have to spend another order token. So you spend 1 order token to be able to do these actions. If you want to do the boost action, you have to discard another order token, and you just put it in the order token discard pile. You don't have to put it up on the tiles. And then you could do the boost, which this one you just get an extra contraband. Alright, once a location has been exploited, it's got a token on it, then it can't be exploited again during this round. So each location can only be used once or exploited once per round. Now, you can only exploit a location if you control that location. And the way you control it is you have to be the only, club, uh, motorcycle club that's on that location. If another player had one of their members here, then neither one of us could exploit that location. So you can only exploit a location if you control it, and you only control it if you are the only person with gang members there. Dudes. Alright, the next order type you can give is a throwdown. So that's basically where you're going to fight. So if you wanted to exploit this location and another member, another gang had dudes there, then you may want to do a throwdown order. So again, if you're going to throw down, you take an order token, put in the order token discard pile, and say, where you're going to have a throwdown. Now, you can only initiate a throwdown at a location where you have at least a member. You have to have, if you only have somebody with a prospect there, then you can't initiate a throwdown. You have to have at least one of your members there. Now, if your opponent just had a prospect there, well, that still keeps you from controlling it, so you wouldn't be able to exploit it. But since you have a member there, you could issue a throwdown order and fight them, even though they only have a prospect there. They just wouldn't be able to initiate a throwdown on their turn because they only have a prospect and not a member. Alright, so when you issue a throwdown order, the first thing that happens is there's 3 steps to a throwdown. So the first is call for backup. So starting in patch order, so even if somebody that's involved in the fight doesn't have the patch, it's still the order is from the person that has the patch in clockwise order. So starting in patch order, you can call for backup, if you're involved in the fight. So to call for backup, you can spend order tokens to move units or dudes from one location to where the throwdown is going to take place. So, for instance, if Sam Crow had initiated a throwdown here, they are first in patch order because they have a patch. Say they had a unit here, well, they could spend another order token and move that member there. Now, then it comes to the 1-9ers turn, and they may want to call for backup. Say they had a couple of guys here. Well, then they could spend an order token and call for backup and move those guys there. Now, if you have guys at another location, you can spend another order token to move guys from there. So you can spend order tokens to move guys from different locations, but it costs 1 order token to move somebody from every location. So for first one player calls for backup and moves everybody they're going to move. Then the next player in patch order, if they want to call for backup, they can spend their order tokens and move as many people as they want to. Alright, then the next step of a throwdown is pull guns. So players involved in the throwdown decide if they want to pull any guns that they have. Now remember, the number of guns you have are hidden. Let me go ahead and just move this so it's not shaded. So you decide, each player involved in the throwdown decides if they want to pull any guns. If they do, you take the number of guns you're going to pull in your hand, put them in a closed fist and hold it out over the table. Once every club involved in the fight has their hand extended with the number of guns you're going to pull, then you reveal and lay them out. So say in this example, Sam Crow had 2 guns, decided to pull 2 guns, and the 1-9ers just pulled 1 gun. Now, guns that you use in a throwdown are going to be discarded, so you won't have them anymore. And also, if you use guns in a throwdown, you will also gain 1 heat at the end of the throwdown. And then the final step of the throwdown after the pull guns is the get bloody. So in that case, everybody rolls their dice. Each club, their 6 has a special icon. So everybody rolls their dice. So Sam Crow rolls a 6. 1 Niners. They just roll a 1. That would be terrible. And then both sides will total their score. So each member adds 2 to your score. Each prospect adds 1. And each gun adds 3. So in this case, Sam Crow got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And the 1 Niners got 1 plus 3 is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the Sam Crow would win this throwdown. So what happens when you win a throwdown? First, if guns were used, your opponent, like I used 2 guns, so the 1 Niners have to send 2 of their members to the emergency room. So they would get to pick, they're going to send their 2 prospects to the emergency room. And then I used 1 gun, so Sam Crow's got to send one of their guys to the emergency room. So they pick and they decide they're going to send you're supposed to lay them down, send their prospect to the emergency room. Now, any remaining members of the losing side have to go back to their clubhouse. So the 1 Niners would send these guys back to their clubhouse. Then if you're the winning club or gang of the throwdown and the location has not been exploited, you can immediately spend an order token and exploit it if you want to. And finally, if you win a throwdown against somebody with the patch, then you immediately take the patch. But in this case, Sam Crow already had the patch and they won the throwdown. And of course, all guns that were used are then discarded back to the pool. And if there's a throwdown where you have multiple, more than just 2 gangs involved, then that's called a pile-up, and it pretty much works the same except for the person with the highest total will win the throwdown, and both other gangs or clubs have to send their members back to their clubhouse, the ones that weren't injured if guns were pulled. And if you did pull gangs in a pile-up, you get to decide which rival gang your guns are injuring. So, if Sam Crow and 1 Niners and Mayans all had a pile-up and Sam Crow, pulled 2 guns, they get to say, they could say both guns were used against the Mayans, so the Mayans have to injure 2 of their crew to the emergency room, or they could say 1 gun is used against the 1 Niners and 1 against the Mayans, and each one of them would have to send one of their people to the emergency room. But other than that, it works the same as if just 2 gangs were involved. And remember, if you did use guns in a throwdown, you have to add a heat to your heat track. And again, we'll talk about what that does here shortly. Alright, another type of order you can do is recruit, and in that case you just discard one of your order tokens, and from your pool of available prospects that you don't already have, you can recruit one and put it in your clubhouse. Alright, another order you can give is the patch in. So that's to promote a prospect to a member. So what that does, of course, you'd have to spend an order. Say you're going to patch in. Then you also have to give 1 cash and 1 gun. So you discard 1 cash and 1 gun. And then you can replace one of your prospects with one of your available members. Now you can never have more than 5 members, and there's only 5 member motorcycle tokens, so you'll always know that's the most you can have. And then the final thing you can do is just sit tight. So that still costs you an order token. You still have to discard an order token, but you just say you're not going to do anything. Now, if you pass and don't do the sit tight and just don't want to spend an order token, well, once you do that, you can't spend any more order tokens that round. So even if you don't want to do anything, you have to at least spend an order token and just say, I'm going to sit tight and wait till the turn comes around to you again. If you just pass, which you wouldn't want to do, then you're skipped. And once you're skipped, you can't issue any more orders for that round. So again, if you just want to wait and see what's going to happen for a round, you sit tight, discard an order token, and just don't do anything else. So that's all the possible orders. So the next thing in the round after everybody's finished with all their orders is the black market phase. And in the black market phase, you have an opportunity to traffic your contraband or sell your contraband. And you can only sell up to the maximum amount of that your heat allows you. So when you start the game, you have 1 heat, so you're allowed to sell up to 3 contraband. If you have 2 heat, then you can only sell 2 contraband. If you have 3 heat, you can only sell 1 contraband, and if you have 4 heat, you can't sell any contraband. So the way the black market phase works is everybody, kind of like with the guns, you're going to take the amount of contraband that you want to sell in the black market. Everybody's going to take that amount, put it in their hand. Once everybody has their hand extended with the amount of contraband they're going to sell, they reveal. And then you look at the black market card. Now my version of the game did not come with a card. I had to actually print one out. It's 2-sided for 4 players. There's 1 side, and I'm sure the newer versions, if this is still available, have the card, but mine did not. And maybe it was just left out. I don't know. But anyway, then you consult this chart for 3 players. If 1 to 3 contrabands were revealed, now this is total for all players. If only 1 to 3 were revealed, then you get to sell them for 3 cash each. If 4 to 6 were revealed, then you only sell them for 2 cash each. And finally, if more than 6 were revealed, then you only get 1 cash each for them. So you turn in whatever you revealed in your hand, and depending on what they're selling for, you discard them into the pool and take cash depending on what you sold and what you're allowed to sell. Remember, you're only allowed to sell depending on the amount of heat you have. And if you do participate in the black market phase and sell any contraband, that does gain you 1 heat immediately after the black market phase. Now, one other thing we haven't talked about heat. We know it limits how many contraband you can sell, but if you have 4 heat and you ever would have to gain another heat, well, that requires for somebody to take the fall. And what that means is you'll have to eliminate one of your members. It can't be a prospect. It has to be one of your members. It has to be eliminated, from a location or from your player board. And then you get to go back down to just having 1 heat. So in other words, that member took the fall and went to jail for the gang and took all the blame. So anyway, if you don't have a member to take the heat when you would gain your 5th heat, then you just lose the game. So you always want to have at least 1 member, and you want to try to keep your heat down. And you can do that from some of these locations. Like if you exploit this location, you can either drop 2 heat or give 1 of your heat to a rival gang, or this one, the Charming Police Department, you can drop 1 heat and claim the patch. So there is ways to lose heat other than waiting until you have gained your 5th heat, and then losing a member, having them take the fall, and then clearing back down to 1 heat. Alright, and then after the black market phase, then if you have any last call cards, then those take effect. So again, we talked about this one earlier. Gangs would gain 1 heat for each location where they have 3 or more dudes. So that would, any last call card would take effect after the black market. And finally, you have cleanup. So in cleanup, you would remove all order tokens that are on location cards, put them in the order token pile. Any that you had on any cards, you would, I told you opportunity cards are like locations. So if you had any on them, anyway, you just remove all order tokens from the board. If you had any opportunity cards and dudes were on them, you would remove those dudes back to their clubhouse. Then you discard all anarchy cards that were used for that round. Just put them in a discard pile. And then any gang that has members in the emergency room, you'll roll a dice for each member, and on a 1 to 3, that dude dies, and just put it in your available to be recruited pool. On a 4 to 6, you can take that dude and put him back in your clubhouse. That's it. Then that's the end of a round, and then you'll start a new round by claiming order tokens again. And again, that's your base orders of 3. Then if you've lost members, you may get fewer order tokens. If you've patched in new members, you may get more than you did previously. So that's it. So then you go another round. The game will continue until you finish the 6th round, which will be when this during the 6th round, you'll put out your last 3 anarchy cards at the end of that round. The player who has the most cash, you'll reveal, and the player that has the most cash will win the game. If there's a tie for most cash and one of those tied players is holding the patch, then that player will win the game. If one of the tied players is not holding the patch, then it goes to the whichever one of the tied players has the most guns will win the game. And if there's a tie for that, then there'll be a throwdown between the tied players, and whoever wins the throwdown will win the game. So that's it. Why don't we do 2 or 3 example turns, and then we'll wrap it up. So let me reset the board to how it should be at the beginning of the game. Alright, so we got all set up. We're going to start first round. Everybody will claim their order tokens. Base order plus your number of members. So at the beginning of the game, at least if you're playing with the unleaded side, everybody will have 6 orders. Alright, so everybody claims 6 orders. Then we go to the reveal new cards. So again, if there's site tiles to be revealed, you'll reveal 2 of them. And then in the first round, you reveal 1 anarchy card. This one's an opportunity. Again, remember, opportunity cards work like locations. So that's all we have. Next, we go to issue orders, starting in patch order with the person that have the patch. So we got Sam Crow. They kind of look like the look of that opportunity card. It's going to get them 6 cash, so they want to go there. So they're going to spend a order token, and they're going to move. They're going to do a ride order, and they're going to move a couple of their guys up there and put them on that opportunity card. All right, so now we come to the Mayans. Well, they kind of like the look of that opportunity card too. So in fact, they're going to spend an order token, and they're going to send 3 of their members up to that opportunity card. Well, the 1-9ers, they see that's going to be a big battle. They maybe don't want to get involved in that, so they're going to spend one of their order tokens, and they're just going to move a couple of their guys to here to this location. Alright, we're back to Sam Crow. They're going to go ahead and throw down up there. So they're going to spend a order token to say they're going to throw down with the Mayans, and then the first part of the throwdown is the call for backup. So they're going to spend another order token, and they're going to move their remaining guys from their clubhouse up here to this location. And then the Mayans are going to call for backup, and they're going to spend an order token, and they're going to move their 2 remaining prospects up there. So that's all the backup. So the next part of the throwdown is to pull guns. Now remember, that's going to raise your heat. So we'll just say Sam Crow, you know, they think they're going to just pull 1 gun. So they put 1 gun in their hand, and we'll just say, that's why it's hard to do this. So they've got 1 gun in their hand. Everybody reveals. The Mayans reveal 2 guns. Well, we'll put it over here and the Sam Crow reveals 1 gun. Alright, now we get bloody, so each person will roll. Sam Crow rolls a 2. The Mayans, they also roll a 2. Well, we know the Mayans are going to win then, because they had the same number of figures, and they pulled 2 guns. Sam Crow only pulled 1 gun, and they both rolled a 2. But we can add it up just to see what the total is. So we know they rolled a 2, plus 3 for the gun is a 5. That's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 for them. 2, 5, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Actually, that's a total of 16. So anyway, Mayans win 16-13. Now, Sam Crow pulled 1 gun, so the Mayans have to send one of their people to the emergency room. They choose that prospect. The Mayans pulled 2 guns, so Sam Crow has to send 2 of their people to emergency room, so they'll choose those 2 prospects. And then the rest of the Sam Crow have to retreat back to their clubhouse. Now the guns that were used get discarded, and each of them must gain a heat because they both pulled guns. Now finally, because well, Sam Crow initiated that combat. If the Mayans had initiated that throwdown, then they could immediately spend another order token to exploit that location. But they didn't do the throwdown. It was Sam Crow that did the throwdown. So at this point, the Mayans can't. But it is now their turn. That's the end of Sam Crow's turn. They did the throwdown. So it's the Mayans' turn. So they are going to exploit that location, and now they get to skim, and they get 9 cash. So 9 cash. And they add it again. Remember, their cash, guns, and contraband would be behind their screen, so everybody wouldn't know exactly how much they have unless they can keep track of it in their head. But now we come back to the 1-9ers. It's their turn. They're going to go ahead and exploit this location, and that lets them get 3 cash, which they'll get, put it in. And because this has a boost, they are going to spend another order token to do the boost, so they can sell 1 contraband, which they have 2, so they'll sell the 1 contraband for an additional 3 cash. Alright, now it's back to Sam Crow's turn. Alright, Sam Crow's turn. Oh, and I don't know if I've mentioned this, but you are allowed to trade cash, guns, and contraband with other players at any time, so you can make each other promises, you know, this for that or whatever. But cash, guns, contraband are the only things you can trade other than promises, which you don't really have to keep. Anyway, Sam Crow's turn. So they're going to do a ride order, and they're going to move 2 of their guys to the Charming Police Department. It comes to the Mayans. Mayans are going to do a ride order. They're going to take a couple of their guys from up here to the gun factory. And that brings us back to the 1-9ers. We'll say, well, just so we can show it, we'll say they're going to do a recruit action. So they're going to, a recruit order. So they're going to recruit 1 prospect into their club. Alright, back to Sam Crow. They're going to exploit this location that they're at. They control it. So they're going to drop 1 heat. So they get to remove 1 of these heat. And then they could claim the patch, but they already have the patch, so they're not going to do that. Alright, come back to the Mayans. They're going to exploit this location they're at. And they're going to buy, they can buy guns for 1 cash. They can do that twice, so they're going to spend 2 of their cash and get 2 guns. Alright, we're back to the 1-9ers. We'll say they're going to do a patch in action. So they're going to spend an order to patch in. That costs them the order token, 1 cash, and 1 gun. So they'll return those to the pile, and then they can swap a prospect for a member. Alright, finally we're back to Sam Crow. They've got their last order. We'll just say they're going to do a ride action, and they'll move here. Alright, we're back to the Mayans. We'll say they're going to spend their last order to do a patch in order also. So they need to spend 1 gun and 1 cash. And they're going to patch in this prospect that's up here and change him to a member. And finally, we're back to the 1-9ers. We'll say they're going to spend their last order to move a couple of their members up here to this location. Alright, nobody has any orders left, so that's going to be the end of the issue orders phase. Now we go to the black market. So now everybody decides if they want to traffic contraband. Remember, you have to look at your heat to see what your limit is. So everybody will take what they're going to put it in their hand and hold it out. So we'll say Sam Crow's going to do 2. The 1-9ers, they just have 1, and they're going to do that. And the Mayans have a limit of 2. They've only got 2, so they're going to do those 2. So everybody reveals at the same time. So we see it's a total of 2, 3, 4, 5 revealed. So between 4 and 6, everybody will get 2 money each. So that's 4 for Sam Crow. They'll put that in their pile. That's 2 for the 1-9ers. And 4 for the Mayans. Now remember, if you traffic contraband, that gives you a heat. So everybody did traffic contraband, so everybody's going to get a heat. So that's going to put the Mayans up to 3 heat. Alright, next would be last call cards. Would take effect if there were any, but there's not. So then finally we do cleanup. That's where we remove all order tokens from locations. I think that's all of them. They go back into there. Then we, anybody that's on a opportunity card, they go back to their clubhouse. So that's these 2 Mayans. discard any Anarchy cards, so we'll put that in the discard pile. And now the guys have to roll for their guys in the emergency room. So Sam Crow's got 2 guys, 1 to 3, so this guy dies. He'll roll for his other guy, 2, so that guy died also. And then the Mayans will roll for their guy. Oh, well, they're supposed to use their own dice, but anyway, they rolled this dice, so they got a 5, so he gets to go back to the clubhouse. Alright, we'll do one more round. So first thing we do is claim order tokens. So 3 base orders plus 3 for this guy, so that's a total of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, the Mayans get 3 base, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 because they patched in somebody, so they get 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 order tokens. And the 1/9ers also patched in somebody, so they'll get 7 order tokens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, the next thing is reveal new cards and turf. So first we'll turn over 2 new locations. And then since it's the second round, we reveal 2 Anarchy cards. We got an opportunity. Remember, that's like a location. And we got a hassle. Heat generated by any source is ignored. Do not add any heat to your heat tracker. So that lasts for the whole round, so we can't generate any heat. So that's pretty good. You could use do contraband in the black market and use guns in throwdowns and not generate any heat. Alright, now we go to the issue orders phase. Sam Crow still has the patch, so they're first. So I think what they're going to do is recruit. They're going to spend an order token and recruit a prospect. So they'll put him in there. Alright, that goes to the Mayans now. So they're going to spend an order token, and I think they're going to exploit this location, and they will spend they can spend up to 2 cash for 2 guns, so they're going to do that. So they buy 2 guns. Alright, now we go on to the 1/9ers. They're going to exploit this location and skim 3 cash. And they would boost for 3 more, but they don't have any contraband. So that's all they can do. Alright, back to Sam Crow. I think they're going to exploit this location and drop a heat. And of course they have the patch, so they can't claim that. I didn't mention that at these locations that have this gun marked through, if a throwdown happens, their guns can't be used. But anyway, just thought I'd mention that. Alright, so that was Sam Crow's turn. Alright, back to the Mayans. I think they're going to do a ride order. So they're going to discard that. They're going to send these 2 members up to this opportunity card up here. Alright, 1/9ers turn. They are going to exploit the cut and bag shop, and they're going to spend 2 cash. They could do either one of these, spend cash for contraband or swap 2 guns for 3 contraband. They've only got 1 gun, so they're going to go ahead and spend, they can max of 2, so they can spend up to 2 cash for 2 contraband. They're going to keep that. Again, keep in mind your cash, guns, and contraband would be behind a screen, so people wouldn't know exactly how many you have. Alright, Sam Crow, they are going to exploit this location, and they will spend 1 cash for 1 gun. And then they're also going to boost, so they're going to spend another icon, and they're going to spend 1 cash for 2 contraband. So 1 cash and get 2 contraband. Alright, the Mayans, they're going to exploit this card up here that they moved to, and they can do 6 of these spend cash for contraband, so they can buy up to 6. I think they're going to buy 3, so 3 cash, and they'll get 3 contraband. Alright, the 1/9ers, I think they're going to do a patch in, so there's their token, then they have to spend a gun and a cash, and they will replace this prospect with a member. Alright, Sam Crow, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to do a patch in order, so they're going to spend a cash and a gun, and they'll replace this prospect with a new member. Alright, the Mayans are going to do a ride order, and they're going to move this prospect from their club to Irish Freddy's Tattoos. Alright, the 1/9ers, I think they're just going to do a recruit action. They'll recruit a prospect. And we'll say Sam Crow, they want to do a ride action. So they'll take this member and put him here, kind of blocking the Mayans from doing this action. So the Mayans don't particularly like that, so they're going to do a ride action. They're going to move these 2 members down here. The 1/9ers are going to do a ride action. They're going to take their dudes here and move them to Backwoods Pharmacy. Alright, the Mayans are going to do a throwdown here at Irish Freddy's Tattoos. So first thing we do is call for backup. And that happens in patch order, so Sam Crow would get to do that first. Unfortunately, they've got no more order tokens, so they can't call for any backup. The Mayans do have an order token. They could use that to call for backup, but I think they're not going to do that. So now we pull guns. So the Mayans, they take one gun and put it in their fist and hold it out. And the Sam Crow, they've only got one gun, so they do the same thing. So they both reveal one gun. Again, because of no heat's generated this time, neither one of them will generate any heat for using guns. So now we roll dice. So the Mayans roll a 1, and Sam Crow rolls a 3. So we'll just add them up. That's 6, 7, 8 against 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the Mayans win. They both used a gun, so Sam Crow only has one guy. He's got to go to the emergency room, and the Mayans will send their prospect to the emergency room. Both guns that we'll use will get discarded. And because the Mayans beat Sam Crow, they get to take the patch. So now they'll be first. And because they initiated that throwdown and they won, they can immediately spend a token to exploit this, which they don't, well, I don't, yeah, we'll go ahead and have them do it. They'll spend $1 cash to get a contraband. Alright, the only one with any order tokens left is the 1/9ers. So they're going to exploit this location. They can skim a contraband, and they could do this boost if they wanted to spend another order token, but they don't have any guns, so they're not going to do that. And they don't really have anything left that they want to do, so they'll just use their last order token to sit tight and do nothing. And that's going to wrap up the issue orders phase. So now we go to the black market. So everybody kind of holds out how many they want to sell. So Sam Crow will take 2, put them in their hand. The Mayans, they have 4, but they don't want to flood the market and get the price too low, so they're only going to do 2. And 1 Niners are kind of thinking the same thing, so they're only going to do 2. So everybody reveals. That's 2 each, so that's a total of 6, so they can sell them for 2 each. So that's going to be 4 to each of them. So 4 to Sam Crow, 4 to the 1 Niners, and 4 to the Mayans. And again, nobody can generate heat because of the hassle, so we don't get heat for doing the contraband. There is no last call, so now we go to cleanup. So we just clean up the order tokens. We discard the Anarchy cards that were used, and remember from now on, following rounds we'll use 3 Anarchy cards for the last 4 rounds. And then the last thing we do is the injuries. So the Mayans would roll for their guy. They got a 3, so he's dead. And the Sam Crow, they got a 5, so their guy comes back to their clubhouse, and that ends the round. So that's how the game goes. So there would be 4 more rounds, and then whoever has the most cash wins. Not a good solo game because, again, you're not supposed to know what other people have and kind of not sure what they're going to do. I think it would be fun multiplayer. I say that a lot about a lot of these games that I play, but it's true. So, again, anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.